All right, what are we going to talk about today? Well, unfortunately for my wife, she got really mad at me about this topic, but this is for reasons I'll explain later. But we're going to talk about non-nutritive sweeteners, also known as artificial sweeteners. And the reason I want to talk about those today is just because I've been getting some research articles sent across my dashboard, and when I see those, I actually am one who consumes artificial or non-nutritive sweeteners, and so they are of interest to me because my health is always of interest to me, right? Especially as I get older, I pay more attention to these things, and when I start having issues that I think, I wonder if this could be a cause or a correlation with this, then I want to check into it. So we're going to talk about non-nutritive sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, if they're good, they're bad, or what is the good and bad about them, and what my thoughts are as far as the studies and whether you should consume or not. My qualifications to talk about this, really, I don't have many qualifications because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I research research. That sounds fun, right? If I have time. So I'm a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, also a certified nutrition coach, and I've been in this type of field for a bit because I started way back in 1994 with the Cooper's Institute for Aerobic Research certification. I wasn't working for Dr. Kenneth Cooper. I just happened to go through the certification back then, and we talked a lot about nutrition and stuff like that. Aerobic training was really the center of it, though. So now, fast forward, here I am with the National Academy of Sports Medicine certifications, and training people, and nutrition is really something I'm really interested in. I find that nutrition is such a key component of what we need to be completely fit. And so this type of thing with artificial sweeteners really gets my attention. And more so, I want to share this with you because not everybody has the time to research these things on their own. And I've been researching, so I will share my opinions. Again, these are just my opinions. You guys need to kind of figure out what works good for you, because I will also tell you that everyone, I think, has a separate tolerance or a different tolerance to these non-nutritive sweeteners. Some people, it really disrupts their gut. Some people, they don't even notice anything. They don't notice a bloat. They don't notice problems in the bathroom, nothing that. But other people are really sensitive. And so, you kind of have to feel it out for yourself. But a non-nutritive sweetener, what is it? Well, we're talking about things like aspartame. We're thinking about sucralose, saccharin, those type of substances that are compounds. So sucralose is also under the brand name of Splenda, and we use those a lot of times in baking. Has 0 calories. It's extra sweet, sweeter than sugar. So the cost of it, once you figure out how little you need to use, the cost comparison, it's a little bit cheaper than buying sugar. But for people who are trying to keep their calories down, they go, ooh, Splenda, that's a great idea, right? Sugar-free, right? We got sold on that, sugar-free. Now, if you're having trouble keeping your calories to a certain limit for the day, then it makes sense to you, right? You want to keep as many 0 calories snacks and stuff. Because if you start eating regular sugar and then regular ingredients, now you got a lot more calories to deal with. And you might not need those depending on your total daily energy requirements. All right, so what has these non-nutritive sweeteners in them? We have things like Diet Pepsi. I'm not gonna lie, it's here for a reason, right? I like it. In the morning, sometimes coffee doesn't actually sit right with me, and that's funny because coffee is all natural, but something about the acidity of it doesn't always sit with me. But a Celsius, I will drink that. 200 milligrams of caffeine. Ooh, that's a lot of caffeine. I kind of enjoy it though. So this one has sucralose. So we have aspartame, sucralose. Now, Ralph, why don't you just drink water? Why don't you drink water? I could, right? I could. And I think I could if I weaned myself off of the caffeine. I don't think it would be a big issue. But sometimes my days are a little bit hectic and I need a little more pick-me-up to get through it. And I am not going to apologize. Caffeine is a great performance enhancer. It is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Caffeine in general. Now, the non-nutritive sweetener. So with these research articles lately, there was a good one out of North Carolina. And they talked about a couple of things. Mostly they were targeting the issues with gut microbiome and leaky gut syndrome. And they did some experiments, and they saw things that were very disturbing when they took sucralose or Splenda and injected that into the intestinal area. And they saw that the permeability of the intestine, which normally should not let things come in and out of it, it broke that down. And therefore, they theorized that, hey, Splenda or sucralose, it contributes to leaky gut syndrome. They also said there does need to be more studies, but it looks pretty, it looks like the weight of the evidence is pretty heavily leaning towards the fact that yes, there's going to be some permeability issues, and that's going to cause some problems in the gut as far as that goes, and leaky gut. There's also issues with the way it changes, or they observe changes in DNA breakdown and in the gut microbiome itself, the bacteria. We have trillions of bacteria in our gut. And when you start messing with those, you may start having issues. Like I said earlier, some people notice that immediately. Other people don't. But what's the long-term cumulative effect? We don't really know yet. And even the researchers say we need more studies. But they also said that based on what they know right now, they would tell their own friends and family, like, hey, I would not consume that stuff. So that's pretty heavy, right? And this study too was not funded by any special group. It wasn't funded by, somebody who's anti artificial sweeteners. It wasn't funded by like a Coke or Pepsi or any kind of special group that would prefer you to use sugar. It wasn't funded by Big Sugar. Is there Big Sugar? I don't know. Anyway, so that's the thing about the gut microbiome and the leaky gut syndrome. I think that's pretty important information that everybody should have and think about before you buy these things, especially things that have the sucralose in them, because they didn't use aspartame in this study. I believe it was restricted, if I'm remembering correctly, to just the sucralose. But to me, excuse me, sucralose is found in a lot of things. It's found in your protein powders. It's found in your drinks. It's found sweetened in pre-workouts, recovery aids, stuff like that. So it's everywhere. So make sure you're reading the labels if this is something that's going to concern you. For me, I think I'm going to take it fairly seriously and try to avoid it. Because we don't know what the long-term effect is either. Is it accumulative? Will it go away? How can you get your gut back in balance? How long does it take? We just don't know any of that. And then we can get back to this too. And this is something that most of us should know. But basically, if it's man-made, synthetic, it generally is not great for you. Medications are generally not great for you. Staying healthy is great for you. Going for a walk, eating fresh fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, things like that, those are good for you. But eating man-made stuff, packaged, artificially made, is generally awful for you. And so it should be no surprise to us that messing around with things like this is probably also not the best bet. Again, these are my opinions. I'm not saying this is a fact, but based on the research I've been reading, it does weigh pretty heavily towards that assumption or idea or opinion, whatever you want to call it. Now, what else is bad about it? Well, they think that it also contributes to obesity and type 2 diabetes. How is that possible, right? How can you get obese when it has 0 calories? Can it happen? And type 2 diabetes? Well, let's talk about that real quick. So when you consume food, no matter what it is, your body takes it in and it goes, we gotta respond some insulin. As we know, when you become insulin resistant, that's called type 2 diabetes. Your body says, I don't need this insulin anymore. I have had too much of it. I'm not going to use it. And then you start experiencing insulin resistance. So if let's say you have this Pepsi and it has aspartame. And maybe an hour ago, you just ate your breakfast, you're at work, you're sitting at your desk, you're like, yeah, like a little Pepsi. And you have that Diet Pepsi. So, hold on a second. All right, so you have that Diet Pepsi, and your insulin kicks in again. You're like, why? It's not real food. Well, your body doesn't know that per se. Your taste buds go, sweet, aspartame, sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and kick in this insulin response. That way we can shuttle this. So now you've had your insulin going from breakfast. Now a couple hour, whatever later, hour and a half, you got it going again. Lunchtime, you're going again. A little afternoon, maybe have one of these. Or say you're one of those people that fills up that big 48-ounce, jug and sips it all day. You're constantly just having insulin kick in, right? It doesn't get a chance to shut down. This is why I tell people, if you're having a problem or you're getting to that point where the doctor says, hey, it looks like you're pre-diabetic, set an alarm on your watch or your phone so it goes off every 3 to 3.5 hours, and you do not get to eat anything or trigger an insulin response except for when that alarm goes off. This will help you. And then also after you eat, go for a walk. Exercise lowers your blood glucose levels. It will help. It will help. Trust me, it will help. And it has been shown to help. This is real. So a little exercise following a meal, nothing wrong with that. Usually though, if you eat right, you're not gonna go out there and do a HIIT workout, but you can go for a nice walk, and that's good for you. So that's the thing with type 2 diabetes. You just want to give yourself a break. Let your body work and digest and work your metabolism. Don't sit there bombarding it with things. And that's the problem with these, I think, is that people ingest these thinking it's 0 calories, man. I'm having a 0 calorie little sweet treat instead of eating like a muffin. Okay, that sounds good, but you've kicked in that insulin response again. So just think of that, okay? Be cognizant of that. These drinks, although they're 0 calories, there will be an insulin response. And it doesn't matter though, any artificial sweetener. Same with a natural sweetener, say a 0 calorie stevia, excuse me. So this is where my wife got really mad at me, because she goes, I think I was on track then with those Zivia drinks. And I said, well, not necessarily, because stevia also will trigger an insulin response. Even though it's 0 calories and you get that little taste, you still kicked in your insulin again. So not the best choice. Best choice would be drink water between meals, and then give yourself, you can have one of these if you want. I mean, if you're not concerned about any other side effects that possibly are linked to it, have it, but have it with your food, okay? Now, another thing about the obesity side of it. So that's the type 2, the insulin resistant. Now we'll talk about the obesity part. Why might these be contributing to obesity? Well, one, if you eat something sweet, sometimes you might want something else. So if you drink that and it's sweet, it may make you crave a little more sweetness. Not everybody's like that though. Some people can drink that and that is their sweet. Also, the studies didn't take into account what everybody was eating, when they were drinking these. What was their diet predominantly? Why are they obese to begin with? What's their activity level? So let's say there's the old joke about, yeah, I went to McDonald's, I got the Big Mac, large fry, but I ordered a Diet Coke. Oh, okay. You ordered the Diet Coke, yeah. Well, guess what? You still ate terrible. You ate way too many calories at one time, and you probably ate way too many calories in one sitting for your entire day. So if we don't know that, we don't know that through the research right now. They need to really get a good controlled trial done so that we can really see that. But that's probably a factor that needs to be taken into account, and may have not been taken into account, is what is the overall diet of the person who is obese or says that the diet sodas are contributing to their obesity. What else are they doing? And then again, you're kicking that insulin response in all the time. And that's why I think sometimes they go hand in hand. Again, food for thought. You guys, you're gonna be able to make your own opinions up based on this information, but I'm just throwing it out there for discussion purposes. So if you have any comments or questions, or you want to tell me how wrong I am, that's cool. I love a discussion. Feel free to comment below. I'm all for it. But hopefully this, just stirs a little bit of thought in your mind so that you don't just mindlessly drink things. Just because they're sold to us doesn't mean they're safe, right? I mean, we've seen that through history. Cigarettes were a healthy thing. They're not, right? But they were sold as a healthy thing in the beginning. What was it? Cocaine and Coke. I think even morphine for a while, you could get it. So things like that. As we learn more, science studies things, we find out whether or not they're really good or bad for us. And then we learn again that maybe they were not. Eggs, right? Eggs and cholesterol. They were saying how horrible they were. Now they're like, no, you know what? What do we know? Dietary cholesterol is not really the same as affecting your blood cholesterol. It's not the negative impact we thought it was for most people. Some people, though, it still is. Anyway, I hope that gets you guys thinking, and it's kind of good information, I think. And non-nutritive sweeteners, they're everywhere, and they're found in everything. So maybe pick things that have regular sweeteners in them for now. Maybe something with a stevia, monk fruit, coconut sugar, something like that. They may end up having a little bit of calories to them, but if they don't jack up your gut biome and they don't make your gut leaky, then maybe they're worth it. And just, again, though, think about the meal timing. Space those meals. Don't constantly bombard yourself with snacks and drinks that are going to kick in an insulin response. Give your body a break. Let that metabolism work. Then trigger it again. But if you can't do it on your own, set a timer. And just, that'll hold you accountable. So try it that way. All right, till next time.